Good afternoon, everyone. This brings to order our SILC meeting for this quarter. First thing we're going to do is do the attendance. Don?
Okay, I know Julie Weissman-Steinbach has an excused absence today. Evander Davis,
Aye.
Ace Patrick,
Present.
Saber McWhirter-Clark,
Present.
Vicky Esner,
Present.
Dee Dee Formaster. Didn't see her yet. She's probably just running a little late. Linda Voivoda, I haven't seen her either, but are you there, Linda? Okay. Peter Whittingham?
I'm present, and as per my note, Dawn, I'm out of town at an event, and I can only stay on for the first hour since I am committed at 2 o'clock.
Okay, thank you for letting us know, Peter. Mary Evilsizer?
Present.
Obioma Officer? We don't see her yet either. I know Jennifer Kane is excused today, and Cheyenne Pasquale is also excused. Although she may show up, I'm not sure. Okay, and we do have quorum, Evander, and everything is posted.
Great, thank you. Next up is that thing that we always have to read, that you're going to read for us.
That's right. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 1-253-215-8782 US Tacoma. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 929-904-1434 and passcode 707401. Comments will be allowed at the beginning and end of each day and will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Persons making comments will be asked to begin by stating their name for the record and to spell their last name and provide the secretary with written comments.
All right, thank you. So for our first public comment, do I have anyone who would like to speak?
Evander, this is Dawn Lyons. I actually received several public comments via email. Would you like me to read them, half of them at the beginning and half of them at the end of the meeting, or would you like me to go through all of them now?
Let's do half and half.
Okay. I have Katie and Chris Walker say, we need more funding to keep people going in independent living. We need support when no one wants to listen to us. Please keep funding the program. We need people to support and help. You guys are the only ones that care and help us. Katie Walker.
Okay.
Lisa Donovan, Donovan, says, hi, Dawn. I wanted to let you know how important RCIL is to our area in northeastern Nevada. So many folks need help with support services in the Elko area, and they are tough to come by unless you can somehow get connected with rural regional. My son is autistic and somehow doesn't meet our guidelines. I think she meant rural regional guidelines, and RCIL has been helpful in trying to help us find services that he needs. Thank you, Lisa Donovan. Melissa Ure. RCIL is important to the community in Elko, Nevada. I am a healthcare worker in home health for seniors and the disabled. I believe there is not enough funding and workers being paid to do their jobs. That's why the healthcare system is broken. My mom and clients use these services. Melissa Ure, U-R-E, is how it's spelled, and Angelina Berry, B-E-R-R-Y. Kitty Nash. Ms. Lyons, I am writing this email on behalf of RCL in Elko. Elko may be a small town in Nevada, but we need help. The funding for RCIL is so important. Most of the citizens that need RCIL cannot afford it. Without funding for RCIL, we have people that cannot get the help they need. We do not have the resources that are available in bigger cities. Please reconsider the funding budget and help Elko, Nevada. Respectfully, Kitty Nash. There are some public comments attached to the meeting materials. Those are the ones I'll save for the end if we have time.
Great. So that's it for right now.
Yes.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak before we get started with today's agenda?
Okay, oops. This is Margaret Marcucci. We have other people, oh, I spell my name, Marcucci, RCIL, ELCO support staff. I know my lights aren't working right in part of my office. We will have more comments, toward the end. There are other people that, have approached me to do that. Katie and Chris Walker, I have watched those two grow up, and they're my babies, and they depend on us. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Are you saying they're in the office with you now, or you have more to read?
I have more coming on here at the end. I just need to let them know when they're going to be there, when we're going to do that, and they will be there. No,
Okay.
the air conditioner at the office went down, so it's very hot there, and I'm not crazy.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to hearing those public comments at the end of the meeting. Thank you. Is there anyone else before we get started? Hearing none. Don, do you see any?
I do not.
All right, we're gonna move on. So today we're gonna move a little bit out of schedule because so many of our members have other commitments, and we don't want to hold them up, but we do want to get SILC business taken care of. So we're gonna move a few things around. The first thing we're gonna do is we're going to have a vote for vice president. It's my understanding that's the only one that we need to vote on.
So this is Dawn Lyons for the record. Just to clarify, yesterday we had a question regarding our process for if there were more than one nomination for a position or for an officer. And the only one that had more than one nomination was the vice chair. At this time, I'll go ahead and lead that again because I did hear back from the DAG and they did say that all votes must be public and there are no secret ballots. So we will have to do a roll call vote this time.
That's
So anyway, before I announce the previous nominees, are there any other nominations for vice chair before we get started?
And go take pills.
Dee Dee, I can hear background noise, if you don't mind muting yourself. Thank you. Are there any other nominations besides Evander Davis and Peter Whittingham for vice chair? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a roll call and just speak the name of the candidate that you are voting for vice chair. Does that sound good? Okay.
We'll make sure that we have an understanding. Everyone who is a voting member should be able to vote right now.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Thank you for that clarification, Evander. Okay. Evander Davis.
Of course, I'm gonna vote for myself.
Ace Patrick.
Evander.
Saber McWhorter Clark.
Evander Davis.
Vicky Essner.
Evander Davis.
Dee Dee Formaster.
Peter. You just go into Mallory.
Peter Whittingham.
Peter Whittingham, for Peter Whittingham.
Mary Evilsizer.
Evander Davis.
And those are all the voting members present at this time. So it looks like Evander Davis wins with 5 votes and Peter Whittingham has 2. So congratulations, Evander.
Well, I guess I live to fight another day.
Another year for vice chair for you.
Thank you all for your support. Either way it goes, I think that we would have had a great leader in either one of us. So Peter, don't let that discourage you. Keep fighting the good fight for SILC and for our organization and for our cause. and we all have to work together to make this work. And that's what I'm about, working together to get a common theme done. And that's what we're going to stand on. So thank you so much for your participation and your encouragement. All right, so
Avanda, this is Peter Whittingham. Just a comment on yours. I appreciate your comment, and you know, as all the board members do know, as a professional, I support you and the leadership of this organization. It's never about an individual, it's about our collective effort to advocate for our members. And we do that very well in spite of the challenges. So you can be assured that you and Julie have my 120% support, as you have and will continue to have.
We appreciate it. And we look forward to working more with you and helping each other, all of us, to work together so that we can get things done for SILC. Thank you so much, Peter.
Okay.
Now we're gonna move on to more important things too. Our next thing is we're gonna do is have a discussion and vote on our spiel. We're gonna let Don start by telling us what all it needs to come up with, and then we'll discuss it and see if we can get a vote today. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Evander. This is Dawn Lyons for the record. I'll just read the actual agenda item is number 7. Discussion and final council consensus regarding the federal fiscal year 25 through 27 state plan for independent living, or SPIL, submitted to the Administration for Community Living, or ACL. So since I posted all of the materials online, and I wanted to express to you my gratitude for all of you who have been able to review that information and really go over it thoroughly, and you know, come back with your comments coming, I'm sure. I just want to say that we don't need to go through the entire spill again, because we did go through it at our last June meeting. The problem that we have is that there was not a quorum when we actually took the last vote on it. And so we really just have a couple more things that we need to cover just to make sure that we understand what we're voting on here. The first thing I want to mention is that at the last meeting, there was a push to change language from the word consumer to person with a disability. And as I went back and I looked through the document, this is why I posted the instructions for this bill from ACL, is because it's in our federal language, and it's our federal language that calls our consumers what they call them. And so in order to change that language, we really can't just willy-nilly do that in our spill. We actually have to go through the proper channels, because it's a whole community nationwide that has determined this language. So we have an agenda item later after this one to discuss if we want to go ahead and make a suggestion to the national SILC to move it forward to further channels than that, to discuss it with other SILCs in the nation and so forth, and just go through the proper channels. But just to make it clear, we cannot change the language of the word consumer in our state plan for independent living, because that's the independent living language. And I know, Mary, you tried to explain that at the last meeting, and I just could not figure out how to word it properly. And I appreciate your support in trying to help me with that. It's a challenging thing to explain, but hopefully you've had a chance to read the instructions and the definitions and understand that's not something we can just decide to change ourselves yet.
You're welcome, Don. It is a challenge, even for us in the disability community.
Yeah, thank you. So the next thing on, and hopefully everybody's okay with that. The next thing on the roster here for the spill that I wanted to come back to was yesterday. There was some discussion about the funding for community services. We've had a lot of public comment come in regarding Rural Center for Independent Living and the need for them to be funded better. This was also really mentioned heavily at our town halls, both at the beginning and after we had written our draft spill, still expressing that they didn't think we were funding enough for RCIL, which we didn't take out of our bill, we had to change the language because the change in their status as a Part B center is not valid according to ACL now. So we're still in the process. We're going to be in the process of evaluating that a little bit better according to ACL's instructions. But in the meantime, we are going to put a notice of funding opportunity out, and RCL will have the opportunity to apply for that. So, it's not a guarantee that they'll get it, but it is something that the community has expressed great need for. And so I know RCL wanted you to reconsider, as well as a lot of our consumers who have called in and emailed and are talking about it at our town halls. If we could reconsider the amount that we're funding for community IL services, as opposed to the state independent living plan or state independent living program. So anybody have any remarks or thoughts, or would like to start that discussion?
Evander Davis, Vice Chair. And I know that we all have deep concerns about the our funding for RCL, RCIL, and people think that we're not trying to do the most that we can for them, but we are. As a leadership team and as SILC, we know the challenges that RCL is going through, and we're not going to stop trying to figure out ways to help them to overcome those challenges. And I know that you all understand that we have to do things by the book, or we'll lose funding other places and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we do all we can to help RCIL, and we're going to do all we can to get them certified, or certified to where they need to be certified, so that we can help them. It just all takes time, and we have to do it all by the book. Definitely, I know that RCIL doesn't have the luxury of waiting and doing things by the book, but at the same time, the SILC doesn't have the luxury of going against the books either, against the rules and regulations. But we're going to do all we can to make sure that we look out for RCIL whatever way we can do it. Is there any other commentation besides what I had to say?
This is Dee Dee Formaster with the Rules Center for Independent Living. All I'm proposing is just to, 1/3 of our budget goes to IL. And although I would never say that John is not doing a terrific job, he is, but I don't think 1/3 of the budget for the SILC needs to go to IL, because he has plenty of money. Like he said yesterday, he's having trouble trying to spend it all. So all I'm proposing is that we take out like 87,000, and that would allow us to survive while we're going through whatever it is they decided suddenly at the spur of the moment to put us through, when I already had my Part B certification. But whatever we need to do, we will do it. But $30,000 to run 2 centers, which is the one in Carson as well as the one in Elko, is hardly enough money to run 1 center, let alone 2. And so all I'm proposing is that we take a little more money from IL Services, which is a state agency, and use some of that money to help the rural areas that are in desperate need for some kind of services. And that's basically all I am asking. And I'm encouraging anyone who has anything to say to please speak up. Thank you.
This is Dawn Lyons, just to clarify, in our current spill draft, we're supporting the IL program through the state with 86,000 each year. And we're supporting IL services in the community with 30,000. We have discussed this in June, and I had suggested that, you know, those are numbers we can play with based on the feedback we've received at our town halls and through our consumer surveys. But you know, the SILC at that time decided that it would be best to continue to support IL program through the state, even though they do get about 1.3 million in state funding, just a little over that. And because it is our program, right? We did initiate that IL program. We felt that we needed the services in Nevada. Of course, now the state supports it a whole lot more than they used to. So that's a lot of funding, even though we know that no matter if it sounds like a lot to us because we get so little, it's really still a struggle for John to cover all the consumers that he needs to through his program too, right? But it is something that is up for discussion that we might want to split that money, or we could actually switch it and give IL program 30,000 and IL services in the community 86,000. You know, there's a lot of different options there. It's just something to consider based on the feedback that we've received, and you know, the fact that we're supposed to be data driven and driven by our town hall information. That's the information we got through our town halls and through our consumer surveys.
For the record, Don, this is Mary. I have a question, and I'm sorry I wasn't there for the whole meeting yesterday. Did you happen to get a chance to check with John what the waiting list is currently for the IL services for adaptive equipment and technology?
He did, sorry, Mary, this is Dawn Lyons. He did go over that information during his report yesterday. I don't recall the exact number, but he did say that the wait list wasn't an important issue because there would always be a wait list, so to speak, based on how the programs run, which is, you know, based on goals that consumers complete according to independent living plans. So it's not a matter of, you know, if they create another goal, that just means they're still working on their plan. So it may be they may be on another wait list, but it doesn't mean that we're not addressing it as soon as we can. So it's really kind of hard to interpret that data, is what I'm saying, in that manner.
I'm curious because we make referrals from our center for those services, and our consumers, usually the ones that we have referrals for, they feel they need immediate assistance, and then it's rather disheartening if they sign up and then they're advised it's going to take a year to get some grab bars for the bathroom, or if they have to wait for a year to install ramps. So usually we have a difficult time encouraging them to apply because it's worth the wait. We say, go ahead and apply, but we'll keep looking around the community to see if we can find another way to help you meet your accessibility needs.
Yes, this is Dawn Lyons. I completely understand what you're saying, Mary, and that's what I was trying to explain, is it never does seem to be enough, right? The independent living in general throughout the state of Nevada is drastically underfunded, and especially for the Centers for Independent Living. So I definitely get what you're saying. But I think that's the point, is that independent living services that are needed that maybe the state isn't able to provide right away, or the other centers for independent living aren't able to help out with immediately. That's what this funding would be for. It would go out to the community in a notice of funding opportunity to support those kinds of things. So that's what I'm saying, is that's what we've heard from the community is what's really needed. I'm not saying you should change your mind about the budget, but it is on the table for you. You can, and we don't have to have an additional town hall because it was already expressed at our town hall.
Thank you. And then I just want to say, of course, we would support rural services. And of course, you know, the CILs, we feel that all of our services are underfunded and that we're all doing what we can to work together. You know, for some of the comments in the rural services, RCIL, I do know that NDALC has expertise in a lot of areas and resources. And if the consumers in those areas wanted to reach out to not NDLC, NNCIL, Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living, pardon the alphabet soup, because if we all work together through the referral process with the objective of helping individuals with disabilities, you know, set an independent living plan, set action steps to meet it, and receive the peer counseling, which peer counseling, I know most of you know it, but peer counseling means an individual with a disability who's providing guidance, support, and information to either a family member or another individual with a disability. So we're all ready to assist with that statewide. So thank you, Dawn. And yes, it should be an interesting conversation. I do know that with the IL services, not that we support one more than the other, but as long as we can remember, there's a waiting list. And we at our center, we've dug up money to widen a door to help somebody move into their relative's home because we couldn't wait. We were transitioning them from the nursing home to the community. That's their family was kind enough to offer. But when you go and you say there's a year, we can't wait because the transition, we're blessed when it happens from the nursing home to the community. But anyway, but please, everyone know that we all support each other. And I do believe that with the leadership on our SILC and our leadership with our CILs, we're all going to do the best we can to assure that individuals are best supported as possible. Thank you.
So this is Ace. So I hear all this, and I think it's all everybody has good points for everything. Boy, it's a tough situation all the way around. I for one, because we've been trying so hard to help RCIL keep the lights open, and then when she opened up a satellite program in Elko, and she has so many consumers that have been with her for so long. I want to continue to support that as best we can, due to the fact that she thought she had done everything she needed to be recognized as a Part B center so that we could add her to this bill. Since I've been serving on the SILC, which I'm coming at the end of my 6th year, we have been supporting her in that. This is Dee Dee and RCIL, and thought it, was all set up. She did everything she needed to, had all the documentations in place, and for whatever reason, ACL changed direction. I, for one, would be in support of switching the 2 amounts of money, Dawn, myself, and giving her more support. While I understand John always says he has a wait list, he's always going to have a wait list. But at the same time, I think she's really, Dee Dee and RCIL and the satellite in Elko are really struggling to keep the lights on. And we've got enough public comment from people receiving services from them that's what I would be in support of, if that makes sense.
This is Dawn Lyons. While I definitely appreciate your suggestion, Ace, the fact is we can't just give that money to RCIL. We have to put it out for competitive award.
Yeah, Dawn, this is, I understand that, but
Okay,
I'm talking about switching the amounts of money around.
okay,
To open that up for her to be able to be possible to, you know, for that being a no-fo. And her
and
being able to apply for that. That's what I'm trying to say.
thank
And,
you, thank,
know,
yeah,
okay, sorry about that. I know I'm not clear because it's a lot to think about, and we've been doing this for so long now. But that's what I'm in support of, is switching those two amounts around, putting that 80, would you say 84, 85,000 instead as part of the NOFO, and the 36 or whatever it is. used.
86,000
Right.
and 30,000.
Okay, so instead opening up the NOFO for the 86,000
Oh,
and
I
allow.
apologize.
know.
So let me just clarify again, because for the first year, it's 86,000 and 30,000. For the second and third years, it's 86,000 and then respectively 47,905.
Okay,
Those.
I would be fine with switching those numbers around and opening up that 86,000 for RCIL to apply for. I mean, always, you know, they would have to apply and show, you know, that they're providing those 5 core services and everything that we do with the NOFOs. But that's what I would be in support of. Is that clear now? Are we?
Yes, I think
Am I
it is.
clear?
This is Don Lyons. Just a reminder though, because John did express yesterday that he was finally able to get a little extra state money to provide a position that would be more of a one-on-one connection for consumers. But it would still be part, I believe it would still be part of that IL program. So not necessarily, or it would be like a go between the AT for IL program, right? So the AT assistive technology and then independent living programs to bridge the gap between them and make it a little bit easier for consumers in that regard. That's his plan anyway, and I wanted to express that because if we do take money away from the IL program at the state, that may put that in jeopardy. I'm not sure. He's not here to ask, but I did want to throw that out there because he was talking about that yesterday. But I want you to be aware. Oh, here he comes. I want you to be aware of, you know, all the potential consequences of moving this money around, as even though this is what the community wants us to do. Technically.
Yeah, this is ACE again, and that's what we're supposed to be about, is what the community wants us to do. So, I mean, we have so much public comment. We've had, in working with this bill and developing this bill, and I mean, it seems like this is needed, and so I guess that's why I'm supporting, the changing, while I understand too that, John needs a lot too. It just never seems like there's enough to go around really. And I really feel badly about that. But thanks for all the clarification, Don. Appreciate
So
it.
this is Don Lyons. Since John Rosalind is here now, John, I'd like to catch you up a little bit. I'm not sure if you know what our discussion has been about, but I appreciate you joining us. And whoever invited you, thank you for inviting him because I didn't have the time. John, we were discussing the possibility, since in our town halls and in our consumer data we have received, it's been requested that we reconsider how much we're offering to the community for IL services as opposed to the state IL program, since the state supports the IL program much more now than they did. And so we'd like to invite, I mentioned that, that's true, that this is what the consumers have been speaking up about, that they need more help as far as from the 5 core services. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to discuss how that would impact your program, and so that the SILC really understands the consequences of moving money around if they did.
Certainly. Thank you. Sorry, I had other engagements. John Roseland for the record. This is always one of the challenges of being the SILC is you all as the statewide independent living council are challenged with finding the gaps in services as well as supporting what is truly independent living. This is a truly an independent living program. As you know, by the data that I provide you, the independent living goals we support are truly independent living goals. Those goals could have been initiated anywhere else, but this program was built through the SILC and the independent living movement 30 years ago, as near as I can tell. My point is that when I give you data that shows 200 to 300, sometimes more people accessing this program, those are essential needs, right? Our only charge is to do those essential daily living tasks that can be, we can remove those barriers. And yeah, there's, not to get into the weeds, but those are real things. They still are real today. But you all need to make a determination of what the priorities are and where your resources go. And I get that. But what I'm saying is, I'll say one thing, it's going to sound a little bit snide, but it's not intended. The people that we are working with and serving often aren't going to make it to your town hall meetings. They're struggling with trying to take care of their essential daily living. Going to the bathroom, taking a shower, getting in and out of their house to go to secure personal transportation. Not unlike many people or anybody else we serve. So it's disheartening when I hear like we're competing for this money. I'm not worried about the money. I'm worried about the SILC understanding where the needs are and then making a plan to go forward and support those efforts. That's the bottom line, right? If there's a bigger priority out there, but have the data that backs it up. But know that when you do a town hall, who made it to the town hall to speak? Obviously, somebody had the ability to get there, get in and out of their home. You have to weigh this stuff, and that's why you'll see people that'll be challenged with being on a SILC. You have to make hard decisions, and you got to make long-term decisions. I've spoke before about the engagement at the legislative level. The last time that it happened on any significant level was when I worked at a Center for Independent Living, which is almost 20 years ago. So again, I don't want to get into a banner back and forth of who's got the most important or what was said at the town halls, because I wasn't there. But I come to the table to bring you guys information, not to sway you. I could, I don't try to bring up these heartfelt and like all of our great surveys. I try to do a little bit of that to show you the impacts that are made from a consumer's aspect and what their words say. But it's important that I'm not here to sway you. I'm here to give you the facts, right? That's how many people are coming into this program every year that have those barriers and are getting served because there's not another resource. So hopefully that gives you my perspective. Of course, it doesn't impact to go to your original thing, Don. Any loss of any dollar affects this program. We lose $10,000. I look at it, and that could be two different sets of independent living goals that don't get met. But I've been with the program for 21 years too, so I've seen it at times where it had 3-4 year wait list. Over this next year, we probably aren't going to have that big of an impact, especially with the ARPA waitlist funds. But that's going to be short run. My question to the SILC would be, what are we going to do long term that people don't have to wait 18 months to have their toilet moved into a place where they can access it? These are basic needs, right? And that's what you guys need to know, and that's the decisions you need to make. I'm off my box. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. This is Don Lyons. Something else I want to mention is, John makes a really good point, and we do have plans in our next spill draft, if it's approved, to go ahead and advocate for more independent living funding through a legislative educator. And so that's something that we can really work on. And we're also going to be doing a data study more specific to the needs in rural areas as well. So that is also something that we'll be able to come to a little bit more understanding and have a little bit better data to support in the future. I guess the question is now, what is this the correct distribution of our funding based on what data we already have? Mary Evilsizer, go ahead.
Thank you, John. That was a good clarification. We appreciate what the IL program does. And you made a good statement, Dawn and John, and with respect to everything that everyone said. But as we were talking, John's right. If we shift $87,000 from one place to the other, the way to imagine this program is imagine that you can't take a bath. Imagine you can't go to the bathroom. Imagine you can't leave your house. And John is right. These are the people that don't get to the public meetings. But also, I respect that we need more funding for all our state. We're just an underfunded state overall with all our programs, both state and federal. But the IL program has always been a program of last resort. There is no other program like it in the state that can help individuals with activities of daily living, just meeting their basic needs. So, and then what I'd like to say is that's up for consideration. And then also, I think when we do the RFPs, I think we need to consider when we get the request for proposals in, are we duplicating services? Or is this a service that nobody else is providing? So just a thought for the RFP. Do we want to duplicate services? Do we want to continue services that nobody else is providing or has the capacity in the state of Nevada? But rurals, we do support you. We support everyone. And the only reason we find ourselves in this situation is because we are an underfunded state. Thank you.
So this is Dawn Lyons. John Rosen, you have your hand up again?
Yes. What Mary had said there, I wanted to clarify that the unduplicated service piece, that is correct. I forget sometimes in the history of the project, when this program was created, it really does define those things like I said, in an independent living center, you could have a self-care related goal area. But we don't delve into the advocacy piece of self-care. It may be a self-care related goal. So there was a separation when this program was established way back, at least when I came into it in the early 2000s, that separated those things, right? The centers were going to have this specific role if they didn't run this program, because there was that separation. When I started with the program, it existed in Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living, but it didn't in the South. So there was this separation, right? There wasn't a duplication of services in that sense. If there's an advocacy role, then that goal may actually could exist in a Center for Independent Living and not on our end. Ours was going to be focused on the solution-based thing, right? The finding assistive technology to remove the barriers that existed and where those resources weren't there. So that piece was addressed, you know what I mean? Trying to address that there wasn't a duplication. Thank you.
Dee Dee?
I don't think that there is a duplication at all of my services that I offer. But I do want to say that the services I offer are a little bit more unique than anyone else. Like, for instance, the lady who's living in the car with her oxygen tank, her 2 service dogs, and having seizure activity, who does not have a place to bathe, does not have a toilet, does not have basic needs like a roof over her head. And the thing is that there's just not a few people out there. 84% of the people on the streets are people with significant disabilities. And I think we need to take that into consideration. We need to be reaching out to them. We need to be helping them to be able to get off the streets. And that's part of what RCIL does, but that's only part. We also advocate in the schools. We also transition people out of nursing homes. We transition people out of schools. We do a lot of work in the rural areas. And I do want to mention too that we do have a program in our grant to help with things like simple things like having bars put in near toilets and in the showers. We do have a program like that because it's difficult for John's group to get out to where they are out there in the rural areas. And so we do have money set aside for that too. And I want people to be aware of that. So, I just want people to know that this is not a duplication of services.
This is Dawn Lyons. I'd also just like to add just a caveat to all of this conversation, just so you can recall. Last fiscal year, we put a funding opportunity out that NNCIL did not even apply for. And I'm not sure if that was on purpose or if it was an accident, but regardless, our money didn't go to all the rural areas that Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living covers because they didn't request any of that. And so that's another reason why it may not necessarily be duplicating services if the funding is needed to support more of it in those areas. So I guess it'd be a good time, I think, unless you want to discuss it more. I'll let Mary speak first.
Thank you. We do have a lot more with the spill. We do have a lot more with the spill to talk about, and we're running really low on time with quorum. So let's take a vote on this part so we can move on to the next part.
Well, I guess we would need a motion first, and unless Ace would like to turn her last statement into a motion, but Mary Evilsizer does have her hand up. If we can just let her speak real quick.
Okay, Mary.
Real quick. Okay, just for the record, the funding that the Northern Nevada applied for was for a scholarship fund for students. We are working on developing leadership. However, the funding that is received from ACL does cover those counties with those types of services. So just wanted to throw that out for the record. Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living provides those services for 16 counties of the 17 counties in the state of Nevada. Thank you, Evander.
Thank you so much. Now, Ace, do you want to make a motion?
Yes,
does anyone want to make a motion?
I would like,
I'm sorry.
Yes, sorry, Evander. Yes, this is Ace. I would like to turn my last statement into a motion for that we switch the amounts for the, oh my gosh, no, I'm sorry. that 86,000 and the other amount going to IL, that we switch those around and offer that 86,000 as a NOFO, so that you know, moving forward, that possibly RCIL can have a chance to apply for.
Can Ace, this is Dawn Lyons, can we scratch that last sentence because RCIL wouldn't necessarily be in part of that motion? Thank you.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine. If you can make that a better sentence, then go ahead. But that's kind of what I would like to see happen.
So to restate your motion, you would like to motion that the 86,000 each year that the SILC currently has allocated in our draft spill for the state IL program be transferred into a notice of funding opportunity for the community IL services, and that the state IL program received the 30,000 in the first year, and let me pull that up. 47,905 on the second and third years.
Yeah, this is thank you, because I don't have all those numbers in front of me, so it's hard to sort of formulate a sentence and emotion out of that. But thank you, Dawn. So yes, that is, I would like to move that we do that.
All right, motion in process. Do we need a second?
This is Saber McWhorter. I second.
Okay, now Don, is this gonna be one of those aye, nay votes, or is this gonna be one of those roll call votes?
Let's do a roll call vote, just to be on the safe side here.
I am totally agreeable to that.
Okay.
All right, so
Evan, should I go, or do we need discussion first? Because we already discussed, right?
I don't think we need discussion.
Okay.
Does anybody else need to discuss anything? I'm hearing none. We're gonna
Okay.
move on with that part. And is this the same as everything else? All voting members are able to vote.
Evander Davis,
Aye.
Ace Patrick,
Aye.
Saber McWhorter Clark,
Aye.
Vicky Esner,
Aye.
Dee Dee Formaster,
I,
oh, you know what, Dee Dee, I think you have to abstain.
oh, sorry, I
No, you
abstained.
know what? Actually, you don't, because it's not money going to your center necessarily, so.
Yeah, Dawn, I was gonna say, we struck the last part of my
Sorry.
motion, so it's not
Yeah.
mentioning her, so she
Yeah,
should
okay.
get the vote.
Okay, so we'll move on. Peter Whittingham,
Aye.
Mary Evil Sizer.
Okay.
Okay, we have 7 ayes and 1 nay. The ayes have it, so I guess we will switch that funding around. Thank you so much, everybody, for your input and your thoughtfulness about that topic. The last,
Now,
oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I was gonna
No,
go on
go
to
ahead.
the last part
You
of the
got-
spill that we
yep,
need to
let's do it.
discuss.
Yep,
All
let's
right.
do it.
So while we were trying to submit what we had in our spill, the DSE disagreed with something they misunderstood at our last meeting when we discussed it. So I've been communicating in behind the scenes. It's been an email between Julie and myself and the DSE leadership, and we did come up with a compromise suggestion for section 4.3, which I'll bring up and read to you. The compromise suggestion, and you guys can let us know if you agree with this or not, or what your thoughts are, is the SILC has chosen to utilize state staff. Per CFR 1329.15E, the SILC shall, consistent with state law, supervise and evaluate its staff and other personnel as may be necessary to carry out its functions under this section. As DSE staff, the state of Nevada carries responsibility to and liability for all employees. The DSE will not direct or supervise the activities of the SILC staff, nor will they be responsible for personnel actions. Additionally, DSE staff will not be assigned duties that may create a conflict of interest with the SILC operations. Where the SILC has established policies relevant to situations in which state policy interferes or creates conflict with SILC business, SILC policy shall be followed as long as it does not conflict with state or federal law. Where SILC policies do not exist related to personnel information technology and fiscal processes, state administrative policies and procedures will be followed as long as they do not make personnel determinations for the SILC. In instances where conflicts arise, the SILC chair or vice chair when the chair is unavailable and time is sensitive. NDSE will meet to resolve conflicts to the extent allowed by state and law policies, as well as the federal assurances. In the event conflicts cannot be resolved at the organizational level, both the state, DAG, and federal authority, ACL, will assist in conflict resolution. Does that sound okay to you guys?
That sounds like an acceptable compromise to me, but I would like to hear our other members before we make a decision on that.
Mary Evilsizer has her hand up.
John, just real quick, I just want to say my vote was nothing personal. We'll work together as a group with all leadership, with what's best for our state. Quick comment, Don, I appreciate your reading it. Can you put it in plain English just for a sec? What does all that mean? Bottom line?
As far as section 4.3 is that I just read.
Yeah.
So that's the, oh shoot, I need to bring it up. Hold on.
Just a brief.
Yeah, I have it.
Thank you.
So section 4.3 states, state imposed requirements. State imposed requirements contained in the provisions of this bill, including state law, regulation, rule, or policy relating to the DSE's administration, funding, or operation of IL programs and or establishment, funding, and operations of the SILC, rule or policy implementing any federal law, regulation, or guideline that is beyond what would be required to comply with 45 CFR 1329, that limits, expands, or alters requirements for the spill. And so that section that I read it falls under that category in our spill. We have gone back and forth with the DSE on this. We had a little bit of a conflict earlier in, how a personnel issue should be handled. And so we consulted with ACL and they helped us come to a resolution. And so ACL suggested to the DSE that they put that in writing as far as what they need us to follow in that section. And also told us that we should be in charge of our personnel. And if we have policies that they would be in place, but if we do not, then we have to follow state policy, and that we would the SILC would make ultimate decisions about personnel or staffing. But
Thank you, Don. I remember now.
Okay.
It took me a minute to turn on. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully that explains why this is being included in our spill this time. Ace, Patrick?
And this is Victoria. I'm
Go ahead,
sorry,
Vicky.
I'm struggling to raise my hand.
Is it okay if Vicky goes first, Ace?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, Ace. This is Victoria Usner, ESSNER, and I do not see anything wrong with that, and I think it's well written, and I totally agree with it. Thank you.
All right, Ace, what do you got for me?
Huh. Thanks, Amanda. Okay, so I agree with most of that. The only problem I have with the last part, I think it's the last part, where we're including the DAG in that. Mostly because I think in conflict resolution with SILC staff and anybody who's on the SILC council should be handled internally, which is what we have in our policies and procedures, right? And we have an MOU with that. Okay, so my problem with adding the DAG is that that's state. And while, yes, they have, our SILC staff is also state, but they are SILC staff. And so our authority and who should be our authority in helping us with any kind of conflict resolution that we have should be ACL. And the DAG, hang on.
Before you,
Can
I just want to say one,
finish?
go ahead.
Yeah,
ahead.
because I have to leave at 2:30. So I want
Go
to
ahead.
just say, that the DAG is always available to us. But federal guidelines supersedes any kind of state guidelines and interference. And we are autonomous because of this. And we also, like I said, ACL supersedes anything the state places, in front of us like that. And so I think the DAG part should be removed. I think it's fine for the DSE to be meeting with the chair, vice chair, if there's some kind of conflict resolution. But it's the ACL that we should go to, who has that's our authority,
Well,
first and foremost.
So, Ace, I do understand what you're saying, but in that last thing that we just read, it said that not only would the DAG help with conflict resolution, but the ACL in concert with the DAG will help us with conflict resolution. Which
Yeah.
meaning is, so what the meaning is that even though we are including the DAG, we're always going to have the federal equivalent on our side, so that when federal law is needed to be superseded, they will make sure that they are going to help us to do that, and the DAG will have to follow the law within that situation.
Yes, I understand, Havander, but I'm saying that I do not believe the DAG should be in that sentence. Okay, I think it should be ACL only. And you already have that the DSE is going to be involved in any kind of conflict resolution. The DAG is always available to us as a legal resource. But my point is that I feel, this is just the way I feel, that we should not be adding the DAG into that sentence, that it should just be ACL in there only.
Evander,
Don?
Dee Dee has her hand up, and then Jeff Duncan does.
Okay, Dee Dee.
I'm sorry, can't seem to hit my button properly. My comment is this: 501c3. And I know I bitch about that constantly and obsessively, and you all have to hear that, but we really do need to become a separate entity. And I know we're all working towards that, but we need to do it quickly. So please consider working towards that as much as we possibly can. And I know we have a lot to do, but we need to become an independent entity with our own 501c3 and our own nonprofit. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff?
Thank you for the time. This is Jeff Duncan for the record. It's a non-negotiable for us because the DAG is our lawyer. I'll be brief. So it's nothing to do with the DAG being there as an independent. You are under the DSE, therefore we would need our DAG at the table with ACL. It's really that simple.
So this is Dawn Lyons, if I may, Evander.
Go ahead.
To clarify, we are not under the DSE. However, staff is. So this is a staffing issue that we're talking about. And it does make sense, actually, Ace. If it said or federal, then I would have a problem with it. But since it's and, that really just includes the DAG, which we would anyway, because they have knowledge of state law. So I think it's okay the way it's written. But I understand your concern. And to Dee Dee's point, that was definitely taken into consideration when we were negotiating. So the fact that we are moving towards a 501c3.
Is there any more comments?
I do not see any more, Evander.
I have one
All
more
right.
comment. This is Dee Dee Formaster for the records. Quickly is my word.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you. Okay, so do we need to take a vote on this too?
So I think now we're at the point where we've discussed the things that we needed to make decisions upon. We voted on what we wanted to do with the funding, and we have had this discussion about this language. We can take a separate vote on this language, and I think we can go ahead and take a separate vote on submitting this bill with those changes we discussed today.
All right, and I guess this is gonna be one of those ones where we call out everybody's name and get their vote. So let's get to it.
Okay. Evander Davis.
Aye.
Oh, you know what? We didn't have a motion. I guess we need a motion.
Oh, we
You
do
need a
motion.
motion.
We need a motion
Yeah,
to
we
approve.
do need a
I
motion.
need a motion to vote on, guys.
We need
We
a
do need
motion.
one. I apologize. Does anyone want us to give us a motion?
For the record, this is Mary Evilsizer. I make a motion that we accept the verbiage for the personnel issue as described, including the DAG.
This is Vicky Esner. I second it.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Evander Davis.
Aye.
Ace Patrick.
No.
Saber McWhorter Clark.
I,
Vicky Esner.
Aye.
Dee Dee Formaster.
But quickly is my word.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Peter Whittingham. Oh,
It's after,
it looks like he
it's
had to
after
go.
2. Yeah, it's after 2. He may have to go.
Okay, yeah, he had to go. And Mary Evilsizer. We still have quorum. So
Aye.
okay, so there are 5 ayes and 1 nay. The ayes have it. That looks like it's going to be incorporated in section 4.3. Thank you. So now, can I ask for a motion, Evander?
You can.
May I ask for a motion to approve the changes to the spill to submit that we've discussed and approved today?
This is a so moved.
All right, let's do this vote independently.
Do we have a second?
This is Vicky Esner. I second it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Vicky. Sorry about that. I'm always moving too fast. Always moving too fast.
Okay, Evander Davis,
Aye.
Ace Patrick,
Aye.
Saber McWhorter Clark,
I,
Vicky Esner,
Aye.
Dee Dee Formaster,
Aye.
Peter Whitting. Oh yeah, he's not there. Mary Evilsizer.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you, everybody. We will be able to submit our spill on time now with our extension. Yay.
So before we move on, I'd like to thank you all for everything that you've done today, all the hard work that you've put in so far, all the decisions that we've all had to make, which were very, very complicated, but we got them done. And I know that everybody didn't get what they want, and everybody didn't get what they didn't want, and everybody didn't get what they wanted, but we compromised and we worked together and we got it done. So I want to thank you all for that part. So now we're going to move on to some of the stuff that we didn't do yesterday. Don, what was the first thing that we're going to start with? Was it we did Mary Evilsizer yesterday, right? Or
No, actually, we didn't get to either the Southern Nevada Center for Independent Living or the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living reports. So we can start with those.
Well, Mary, I hope that your voice is ready to go because you are up.
Yes, it is. Hey, congratulations, everybody. We did the spill. Evander, all of you. It took all of us and we did it. But I know we're pressed for time. I want to thank you for the opportunity to report. I also want to thank you for the opportunity to work with such a great group. I have seen this group just mold together. And again, I love the way we're agreeing to disagreeing and saying, okay, well, let's move on. So thank you. I do want to report that this last quarter we did receive or process 765 information referral calls. We had a total of 833 service requests, including the information. So don't be blown away by the numbers, because that's rather a duplicate. But anyway, of the service requests that we had, 26% were for advocacy or legal services. One of the advocacy services that we conducted this last quarter is we worked with a gentleman who did not really understand the Social Security system. He was age 63 and he was falling on hard times, homeless and whatnot. So he came to the center actually for something else. And then we were able to guide him through the Social Security application process. And we do that by providing independent living skills training, peer counseling, and all the other resources that we offer. So long story short, he got his Social Security benefits in a very short time. We had not seen such a quick turnaround. So we're happy for him. We're now working with him on housing. Okay, that leads to our next category, housing, home modification, and shelter services. Of the service requests that we had 59% were for housing. Again, that continues to be the lead service request in Clark County. I do want to report that this last quarter, with the funds that we got from the SILC grant, we were able to transition 2 individuals from a homeless situation to where they now have their forever home. But not only do they have their forever home, we also worked with them to get a voucher that is a lifetime voucher. So that's challenging to begin with. It's challenging to get the voucher, but we train them, provide them with IL skills, peer counseling, guide them to pull their paperwork together. It's a lot of work for our consumers. They have to get their banking records. They have to get all their financial records, go for fingerprinting. But anyway, I am so proud of our consumers. We have 2. We were able to scrounge the funds up from other resources for setting up a household, but we did need the funds to pay for the deposit and the first month's rent. So yay for 2 more people making it in the community. Then also we were able to help another senior. And I do want to say that we do track ethnicities, because one of our goals is that we try very hard to include all diversity and all minorities. So of the folks that we helped to transition with housing, 2 were of African American ethnicity or minority or race, and then 1 was Hispanic. We also worked with one of our consumers that we were able to help out. She has been working with us for years on many different things, removing barriers. She came back to us because her disabilities progressed. She is now paraplegic and she needed assistance. We had helped her get a housing voucher years ago, but the problems she was having with her disabilities as they progress, it's affecting her cognitive or a form of dementia. So she did not submit her recertification papers, which are critical to continue with housing. We were able to advocate for a hearing. We didn't do anything. We always say our consumer advocated for themselves during the hearing. She was able to sway housing that she needed a second chance. And so they gave her the second chance. We've now trained her on doing recertification moving forward. And she's going to work with us each year to make sure she's doing it right, which we are very, very happy to help with. So those are the services, or some of the services that we've conducted this time for housing and for financial stability. But I do want to also say that we had about 22% requests for independent living skills training. And of course, peer counseling. Individuals receive peer counseling by coming to the center. Peer counseling is one individual with a disability providing support, guidance, and information for another individual with a disability. We were able to, this term, preventive services are services that help people to or prevent individuals from ending up living in a nursing home. That's a preventive services. So we had 5 situations like that where the individuals are now safe and secure. They will not end up in a nursing home. So with that, we did have 2% requests for vocational services and another 5% for transportation services. So anyway, I'm rushing through this because I know we don't have a lot of time. Wanted to share, we've done a lot of outreach, particularly for school to work transition students. We partnered with the Clark County School District last year to help mentor them into doing their Star Fair Day as a mirror image of sorts of Disability Awareness Day, which is on a Saturday. They're getting a lot of parents and a lot of students at the same time. So wanted to share, we did participate in the veteran stand down. They did listen to us. We had volunteered to do training on ADA accessibility. Last year it was not accessible, but this year they chose the most perfect accessible location. However, it was accessible as far as bathrooms, as far as ramps, as far as doors. Here's the problem. The veterans couldn't get to it. Is in a beautiful structure at the World Market Center for those of you that live down south, but it's highly inaccessible to our homeless and to our street veterans and to veterans. So I guess we're gonna get someday where we have it all, but it takes a while to get there. Okay, with that, the only other thing I would like to report is that Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living and Southern Nevada Center for Independent Living are working on an exciting disaster preparedness website that we're going to be launching at the training in August for the self-advocacy. But we will keep all of you posted and probably do it with Havander, Julie's, and Don's support, do a presentation for you. Also want to share with you that Disability Awareness Day has been scheduled for October 5th, Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have the flyer on our website. So I do want to offer, if any of our SILC members need help with the booths are not that expensive, but if you need a waiver, just let us know. And we'll cover the waiver expenses. Also want to extend our appreciation again to the SILC for helping out as a sponsor for that particular event this year to help with the printing. So thank you. And I'm open to any questions if there are any.
All right, do we have any questions for Mary?
I don't see any hands up, Evander.
Hearing and seeing none. Now, is the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living on deck today?
I am here.
Well, hi, how are you today?
Hello, Lisa Bonney from NNCIL for the record.
Great. Let's get one of those great updates from you.
Thanks so much, Evander. I apologize. I dropped off of the call yesterday. We had a massive power outage. It was quite something. So I'm glad I didn't miss the opportunity to give our report. We
wouldn't let that happen.
Thank you. I will echo what Mary said about we appreciate the opportunity to be able to come before you and get you caught up on what's been going on with the Center for Independent Living here in Northern Nevada. I do want to talk about housing, but first I'll just kind of go over some basic numbers. We are seeing we saw a 28% increase in our information and referral calls over this last quarter. And I'm going to get into housing because I think that's what's driving a lot of it. We are becoming very concerned. We all know that there's a housing problem, and we all know that there's really a housing problem for people who are on very limited incomes. And what's becoming clear to us here in the North is there's a problem with corporate housing. And when I say corporate housing, corporations are coming in and buying up large swaths of rental properties. And so there's not a city-based landlord even for houses, independent stick-built homes. And this is causing quite a bit of a problem now because those rents are going up exponentially. So we have a whole nother layer of people who are now at risk for becoming homeless. And we're finding it's a very difficult system to navigate because of the corporatocracy of it all. I guess, I don't know if that's a real word or not, but I heard it somewhere. It sounds smart. So that is something that we're starting to see becoming more and more of a problem here in our communities. So I wanted to make this group aware of that. That might come down to advocacy as we move into the next legislative session. And I don't know what that looks like, but food for thought. We also saw a very large uptick in our, hang on just a second, I lost my place in my notes. Oh, peer counseling services, with 38% up. And when I looked deeper into those numbers, we have a pretty extensive blind and low vision program. And we've got several peer counseling or peer support groups that we run. And that is really becoming quite a nexus, a great place for people to come in to a Center for Independent Living's environment. And then we explore what additional services a person might be able to use from that interaction. So that's a great thing. I wanted to talk about what Mary was talking about, the Silver State Self-Advocacy Conference. It's going to be coming up in August. That's the Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities Conference. We will be there. We've been working quite diligently for the past couple of years on an emergency preparedness plan. We've been working extensively with the emergency preparedness departments in all the different counties in Nevada. This is a statewide initiative that NNCIL and SNCIL have been doing together. And we're going to be launching the website next month at the conference. And at that time, we'll also be starting to schedule trainings out in the communities on how to, what this tool means, how to access it, and what you can get from it. So we're pretty darned excited about that. We've been working with the Northern Nevada Public Health Department, and I know that Mary's team down in the South has been doing the same things down there. We're really trying very hard to move this forward so it looks exactly the same throughout our entire state. So, and it's going very well. And for those of you who aren't aware, September is Emergency Preparedness Month, and that's when all of this is going to culminate. And even more importantly is September, I think it's the 28th, is Good Neighbor Day. And we have a very large initiative around Good Neighbor Day throughout the state. So stay tuned to your emails. You'll be getting more information from us and from all the members of our team about what to expect in September. Let's see. The other thing I wanted to talk about is we had Mark Wellman Day. And that's sort of like, it's not like Disability Awareness Day, but it's what we do here in the North. It's a partnership that we put together with the city of Sparks. Next year will be the 20th anniversary of Mark Wellman Day. So we're really excited about that. And there's some plans to reshape this event and make it even bigger. We had more than 200 people with disabilities come and join us at the park for all sorts of interactive recreational opportunities. So there was a climbing wall, there was all the different adaptive bicycles, there was kayaking, there were all sorts of outdoor adventure types of vendors and speakers there to talk to people with disabilities about how they can have the same recreational opportunities in our community. We've also, because of this, we were contacted by a company called Race, I'm going to get this wrong, I always want to say 178, and I think it's Race 128. Anyway, they put on a lot of the different races and walks and things like that, and they wanted their events to become more inclusive. So we are working with them now so that hopefully in the future, it won't be a race for the community and then a race for people with disabilities. A race for the community will be a race for everyone in the community. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity for us. And there's a very large law firm that's working on it as well. So it's opened up some really great community partnerships for us. So we're very excited about that. We're also working quite closely with the school district for their blind and low vision students. and we hosted an ice cream social with them. And it was the biggest one they've ever had, and they were very excited. We hosted it at our office, and in the parking lot, we had the adaptive bikes brought in by the city of Reno. And so the kids were able to go out while their parents were learning about assistive technology and O&M training and those sorts of things. The kids were out learning how to ride bicycles or just putzing around and having fun out in the parking lot. So that was a great event. And from that, we've agreed we'll be co-hosting with them independent living skills training classes at our facility in our kitchen, which is going to be remodeled. We're very excited. We've waited a very, 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 very long time. And we finally are making some headway on that. And then we're also we are collaborating with the National Federation of the Blind for a STEM Academy that will be happening in our office on Saturday, August the 24th for K through 12 students. And there are several STEM people coming in from Baltimore to teach, as well as local educators who will be here. So, and that's for the blind and low vision community throughout Northern Nevada. And they're providing, I think the registration for that might be closed, but it was opened up to all of the counties, and then National Federation of the Blind underwriting transportation for kids to come in from out in the rural areas. And then we have been working quite closely with the Carson City Disaster Planning department. They became interested in what we were doing on our website. And so we assisted them with their most recent drill, and they will be contacting us for their drills in the future because we're very concerned about access and functional needs. And because of that, and because of the other work that we're doing, we're being contacted by all of the different emergency departments throughout the different counties wanting to kind of pick our brains about AFN and make their drills more realistic to their communities, which would be nice. And what that means is instead of somebody pretending that they're in a wheelchair or somebody pretending that they're blind, that hopefully we can, help them to connect with people in their communities that are actually either in a wheelchair or are blind or have other sorts of functional needs. So that's a pretty exciting thing. And we've also been contacted by the museum system to help them to make their facilities, as well as their, for lack of a better word, their product, their exhibits and whatnot accessible. So that's pretty darned exciting. We're really happy about that. And we've been very, very busy out in the rural areas with outreach. We were in Pahrump for a few days, and we co-sponsor a National Federation of the Blind community in Pahrump. So we were able to do some extensive training while we were there, as well as participate in a community like health fair. I think it was a resource fair there. Well, we're going to be in Tonopah this next week. We're in Fallon and Fernley and Carson City and Douglas County every month. So we stay pretty busy and put a lot of miles on. And I think that's about it for it. Oh, the other thing is we partner for COVID testing kits, and we distributed this last quarter, we distributed in excess of 2,000 tests. So people getting ready for whatever might be coming their way. And I think that's about it. And I'm like, Mary, I'm open to any questions.
All right, thank you. Do I have any questions for the NCIL, North Nevada Center for Independent Living? Lisa. Hearing none. Dawn says we don't see any. So you have done it. Thank you so much. Dawn, what is next on our agenda? Or do we need a break?
So actually it is 2:30, and it's the perfect time to take at least a 10-minute break. By the time we do, it'll be 2:31. So should we come back at 2:41?
Sounds great. You guys all good with that?
Seeing nods.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's do it. See you guys at 2:41.
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a great 10-minute break. Don, what is next on our agenda?
So this is Dawn Lyons. Normally we would have Aging and Disability Services provide updates, but since Cheyenne couldn't be here today, I suggest we just go ahead and table it till the next time.
Sounds great. Let's move along.
And then agenda item number 8 is the discussion and possible plan to draft a letter to the National Organization for Statewide Independent Living Councils, or NASILC as they like to call themselves, regarding developing a proposal to change current independent living language, including the use of the term, quote, consumer, unquote, to the Administration for Community Living, or ACL. Is that something we want to discuss right now, or because it was actually Peter Whittingham and Jennifer Kane that were really enthusiastic about that change? Do we want to maybe table this for the next meeting when they can be there to discuss?
Let's definitely table that until we get all participants, because we don't want to make a decision that that is not fully with our whole organization or with all our members. So let's table it until we can have everybody involved in that discussion.
Well, and we do have quorum. It's just that I don't think it'd be fair to have that discussion without those who wanted that suggestion to happen to begin with. So
yeah, I think that's a great idea. Let's table that till the next time.
okay, and so then agenda number 9 is discussion and approval of federal fiscal year 24 remaining budget and future conference plans. I did attach the current budget summary of our expenditures to our meeting materials, and hopefully you've had a chance to review that, and I guess I could just answer any questions about it.
All right, do we have any questions about the things that Dawn just proposed? I think we're all ready for the weekend already.
I think so. We might end early today. In that case, we already discussed future conference plans, but I had it on this agenda item as well in case there was a question that came up regarding our budget in that regard. But if there are no questions about upcoming conferences and our budget, it looks like that's that.
Looks like we're good to go. What's next on that agenda item?
So, the discussion and approval of future meeting agenda items and meeting dates. And actually, I wanted to suggest, since on October 10th, some of us will be traveling to go to the April conference. And that would normally be our SILC week. If everyone would be okay with us switching it to October 23rd and 24th, and that's Wednesday and Thursday later in the month, just to make it so that we can attend all these October disability events that we have, like Disability Awareness Day and the April conference and other things that are happening in October, because it's a busy month for us. And we may want to even look at changing that specific month meeting on a regular basis moving forward, because it always seems like there's a conflict with April conference.
Well, I think we better figure out what we're gonna do. Does anybody have any discussion on that or comments about switching that day for at least for this October?
Is that going to be an issue for anybody? Is it going to be workable? Mary, you ever hand up?
Yes, Don, for the record, I think that's a good idea. October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. It's National Disability Awareness Month. So we have a lot going on during that month. I like the idea, and I'm in favor of the 23rd and 24th. I am going to be unavailable those 2 dates just this year, but moving forward for future years, I think it's a good idea. And then the April conference is usually around the 10th every year. And that is really an excellent conference for all of us, SILC members, CIL members. So I would say I'm in favor of that. And then I do support it. I just won't be available the 23rd and 24th of this year.
Yeah,
thank you.
This is Dawn Lyons. I could throw it out there, it's also a possibility we could move it to the first Wednesday and Thursday of November. moving forward. If that's what you guys want to do instead, because since October is such a busy month, it might be easier for us to do that. Is that a good idea?
This is Saber McWhorter Clark. For my work schedule as it stands right now, that first week of November would be great for me because I wouldn't be able to attend on the 23rd of October. Just throwing it out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Anyone
right,
else?
does anybody else have any conflicts for November or October 23rd, 24th? Can we, any other feedback? Okay, well, does anyone want to make a motion that we change the meeting to the first Thursday, Wednesday, and Thursday of November? Or does anyone want to make a motion that we change it to October 23rd and 24th of October?
This is Dee Dee Formaster. For the record, I'd like to make it in November because, of course, the huge Nevada Day holiday is at the end of October, and this town is a friggin' zoo.
Mhm. Great,
And
okay.
and so I make a motion to move it to the first part of November. 4th and 5th, was that the dates?
Actually, this is Dawn Lyons, so this year it would fall on November 6th and 7th.
Well, so
Okay.
we want the motion to be for the first Wednesday and Thursday of November, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I am going to make a motion that it's for the first Wednesday and Thursday of the month of November, to change the meeting to that date, because it's better for all of us, because October is a busy month for all of us.
This is Vicky Esner. I second it.
And I'm sure we can just do an all in favor.
Aye.
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 Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, well, it looks like motion carries. We'll be having that meeting in November now.
Unanimously. Awesome. This is Dawn Lyons. The only other thing is the upcoming meeting agenda items for discussion. I know we discussed yesterday a topic on orientation and mobility, the gap in that service in Nevada, and having a discussion about that and where we can affect that as a council and how we can move forward in assisting with that problem.
Great.
That's one of the things I know that we need to have on our next agenda item, along with our standing items.
Sounds great. Is there anything else anybody else wants to add for that agenda item as a SILC member?
I'm gonna check into the schools down in California about training for that, to see if I can make some connections there. Thank
We
you.
appreciate that. We appreciate that. Is there anybody else who has any other agenda items that they think should be on our next agenda for our next SILC meeting? Well, if you guys do think of anything and you didn't think of it now and you may want to think of something, please email Dawn or send her a quick message, let her know so that we can get something on the agenda for you guys.
This is Dawn Lyons. Just one other thing that just to give you guys the heads up that in the next meeting we will be making a determination on our notice of funding opportunities. So I haven't sent those out yet, but those will go out shortly, and then the SILC will make their final decisions in that next meeting. So that will be on there as well.
All right, so get yourselves together so we can get it all taken care of, get SILC's business done. You have anything else for us, Don?
That's all I have. Oh, we have to do
Oh, I know. Let's make sure we don't have anything else first, and I'm gonna tell you what I want you to do. Anybody else have anything else before we move on? Everybody wants to go home today. I got you. So, Don, read that thing that you got to read.
Okay. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 1-253-215-8782 US Tacoma. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 929-904-1434 and passcode 707401. Comments will be allowed at the beginning and end of each day and will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Persons making comments will be asked to begin by stating their name for the record and to spell their last name and provide the secretary with written comments.
All right, Don, you want to read the rest of those ones you have for us?
I sure can. Okay, let me pull those up. To whom it may concern, I host the Community Conversation with Cami podcast, which airs Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on 107.7 on Global One Media Radio. Global One covers the Northeastern Nevada listening corridor. We reach 20,000 listeners per month, and any given show reaches a minimum of 2,000 listeners. A few weeks ago, I interviewed Margaret Marcucci on my Community Conversation podcast. The topic was RCIL and can be accessed here. There's a link attached. With the large number of listeners we reach, there has been a growing awareness of RCIL services and a great need for continued RCIL services in our remote and underserved area. Unfortunately, I was recently informed that funding for RCIL has been dropped. My deep concern is that this will leave our most vulnerable families without RCIL resources. I have personal experience in this area as I have an adult brother who is high functioning and autistic and will live with my parents until he moves to Nevada with my husband and I under our guardianship. I was elated to learn about RCIL services as I would be a person in need of their assistance in the not so distant future. I'm reaching out to let you know that RCIL is needed in Northeastern Nevada. On behalf of my good friend, Margaret Marcucci, who is the RCIL representative for this area, I stand by her and her passion for RCIL work. Margaret is a great force for good in our community and donates her time to a multitude of organizations that assist the most vulnerable in our community and help to bridge the gaps in resources. Margaret is an advocate for our Northeastern Nevada families in need, and I stand with her and RCIL. I hope you will reconsider the funding opportunities for this organization and the needs of the families in rural Nevada. Cami Ann Gerber, MS. Let me go to the next. Hello, Dawn and others on the SILC. I hope this letter finds you well. My name is Jen Landman. We've spoken a little bit before via email, and I attended some Zoom meetings with you this past winter. I'm a volunteer at RCIL in Carson City. I've also sometimes been a client in the past, as far back as 2009, and I'm currently a client again. Off the top of my head, I have 2 stories about DD Formaster and the Rural Center for Independent Living that I'd like to add as public comment. I came to Carson City for the first time in 2009. I was taking a, quote, gap year, unquote, away from college to serve with AmeriCorps Vista and UNR's Nevada Center for Excellence in Disabilities. I was the first person in my family to make it to college, and as a person who would figure out later that they are neurodivergent, I was overstimulated and overwhelmed by college life. So, AmeriCorps it was. As you may know, AmeriCorps Vista members receive a, quote, living allowance, unquote, which is a type of fixed income based on the state poverty line. Back in 2009, Vista members were prohibited from having a second job or even what we now call a side hustle. I was new in town. My college had been in Oregon. I didn't know anyone in this area except for my supervisors who were out of town up at UNR anyway. I had found a room to rent through Craigslist, but it turned out to have a lot of hidden costs that I couldn't afford. I needed a safe, affordable new place to live, and I needed it before rent came due again. But I was 21 years old, broke, new at figuring out housing rentals, navigating a new and painful set of PTSD and anxiety symptoms. And in 2009, I hadn't yet figured out that I had autism. I had thought I was just different. Luckily, I met Dee Dee Formaster. Dee Dee had me sit with her and listen as she made a call to prospective landlord. We discussed what she had said / asked and why. And she asked me what questions I had. Then she had me give it a try. She also accompanied me to apartment showings and to meet and negotiate with landlords in person. One landlord called Dee Dee back about renting to me, and the landlord said, I want to rent to her, but with that income, how can I be sure she's going to pay her rent every month? She's going to need to pay for utilities and buy groceries, and what if she has an emergency? Dee Dee told that landlord, look, she has to live somewhere, and she knows that the first priority is having a roof over her head. The utilities won't matter if she's evicted for not paying her rent, so why pay utilities before paying the rent? She knows that no matter what, you pay your rent first. And she has that AmeriCorps living stipend. It's exactly the same every month, no more, but no less either. After a little bit more negotiation, I had a safe apartment to move into at a rate that even I could afford on my AmeriCorps allowance. Thanks to Dee Dee, I was able to stay in Carson City and complete my AmeriCorps service. Not only did she get me into an apartment, she taught me about housing, budgeting, and negotiation / self-advocacy. I'm going to stop there. It continues, but that's past 3 minutes. So it is in our materials, and I encourage you to read the rest of that public comment. Next one is to whom it may concern. I've known Dee Dee Formaster for almost my whole life. I've seen her tirelessly help people at the expense of her own life. When I talk about Dee Dee, I compare her to Mother Teresa in the spirit and light of compassion and love she shows to those who are suffering in the Carson City, Dayton community. When I was going through a rough spot or dark period in my life, I felt like I needed to be of service to my brothers and sisters in my community. I decided to help and volunteer at RCIL when she still had her drop-in center on Long. The space Dee Dee has created for these people, for the people neglected in our town. I would arrive around 6 a.m. as the warming shelters close at 6 in the winter and freezing temperatures. There was always a well-stocked pantry and fridge. I could prepare chili, soup, or another meal for the cold souls that make their way there over from shelters in the dawn of day. This location was something I never knew existed, nor fully comprehended in the beginning of this journey of this importance. This was a safe place where people could receive mail, get signed up for Social Security. She even had a pretty good clothing closet for anyone in need, from jackets to pants to shoes. I've seen her on many occasions take veterans mentally ill without shoes to get proper fitting shoes and socks to bring comfort to their spirit. All walks of life came through those doors, from families in cars living on the streets, disabled, veterans, and the mentally disabled. Anyone that walked through the doors were treated as children of God with the love of heavenly angels, and could change to a tough, loving mother to those who showed up under the influence of drugs or alcohol, protecting the space and those who dwell within, with compassion and grace. She's the most experienced soul I've met in that line of work. Her efforts, ideas, and love are invaluable to hundreds, if not thousands of people each year she helps. I can't even start to describe the depth of importance of RCIL. It brings me to tears to think her lifelong efforts and love, compassion, and caring of those who are mostly forgotten in our human family could be thwarted in any way for any reason. I could spend a lifetime sharing stories and the love of Dee Dee, who is RCIL. She is the glue that held it together for over 20 years. I have no idea who you are or your importance to RCIL sustainability and ability to continue to live on, but I ask you this, please feel free to call me and I'm happy to share and talk further if I can help RCIL in any way. May the heavenly waters of spirit water the seeds she has planted in your heart and the hearts of so many in our community. May RCIL continue to bless and let the people who are forgotten be seen and loved in some way. And I'm going to butcher this name. I apologize in advance. Umunguwe. It's spelled Umunguway. Thank you. And I believe there's one more. Dawn Lyons. My name is Chris Sandall and I want, or Sandall, and I wanted to let you know how important RCIL here is in Elko, Nevada and the rural counties. I am a client of Margaret Marcucci's and she has helped me more than anyone. I have a processing disorder, speech impairment, generalized anxiety disorder, and depression. I see a doctor and a counselor and I'm on medication to help. One of the places I struggle most is at the welfare office. I have a hard time understanding things, but when Margaret told me she can go with me, that has been a life-saving gift. I now get better assistance at the welfare office with her there as she helps me to understand terms and policies. She has been able to keep me calm and explain things to me. Whenever I have questions, she is able to help me, and if she doesn't know an answer, she finds out and gets back to me. With all her research, studying, and learning, she knows what to do and where to go. Having someone here who knows how the rural areas work is critical and a much-needed resource. The big cities don't understand us out here and treat us like we're in the city. Rural areas don't have the resources like the big cities. Rural communities need people like Margaret to help us find answers and resources. We need people here who understand us and our needs. As far as the NNCIL, I never knew it existed and could be a resource for me to turn to. However, it wouldn't be helpful anyway because the members of the organization never came out here to assist us. They are not helping those of us in rural areas. It is important to have someone in the rural areas to help be a voice and who understands our needs here. Margaret and the RCIL fills that void. She has helped me to accomplish things that I didn't think I could because of the support she gave me and continues to give me. We talk about living on my own, out of my parents' home, but have decided that is not the time to work on that yet. We are working on other things to help me be self-sufficient and confident as possible. She presents to me choices that allow me to succeed or fail in a safe environment, which she provides. I have found that there are a lot of individuals here with disabilities, and we are not getting the proper help and support we need. Anytime someone asks me if I know where to go for help, I give them Margaret's information, and I know she will do her best to help them. Not only has Margaret helped me, but she has also communicated with my mother to help her to understand the choices and guidance that is being offered to me. Margaret's skill set involves helping the individual, which in turn helps the family. Thanks for your time, Chris Sandall. And I apologize for the lengthy public comments that I had to read for the interpreters.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during this public comment time allotted?
John Rosenlund has his hand up.
John?
Thank you. John Roseland for the record. So just public comment regarding the blind services that will be implemented into the current independent living program. And I want to give a little clarification as well. So first off, anything or any conversation regarding trying to establish orientation mobility specialists and where we can find somebody and and how people access that program, please reach out to me. You can reach me pretty much anywhere. If you don't have my email, get a hold of Dawn. I don't see anybody on the screen here than the captioner and interpreters that probably don't have my email, but please reach out. This conversation isn't going to wait until November. So reach out to me as soon as possible. The last part of that is a little clarification. The reasoning why there's the funding is, and I recommended it to stay in that program, is because it is the simplest program that already has structure, it already has staff, it already has a mechanism to establish independent living goals, and it doesn't matter who the vendor is, the partner can issue authorizations and pay them. Very simple. All the infrastructure is built in there. All we need to do is find orientation mobility specialists and we can pay them. So there's a clarification on the simplicity. If there are, I assumed because I did not make some clarifications as to why those services are there. It's the same reason why the state's autism program launched in that program. Simplicity. There's existing structure. There's people that can help you develop an independent living goal. And then it's really just finding the appropriate service and vendor and pay for it. So it keeps it simple. Again, just reach out to me, reach out to Dawn if anybody has any questions or wants to be involved in that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Is there anyone else that has any more public comment? Hearing none. Don?
I don't see anybody.
All right, well, we're gonna close this public comment. Is there anything else we need to go over before we adjourn today?
That is the last agenda item on our agenda.
All right, I just want to thank you all today. Once again, I want to thank you all for you guys' participation, for you guys' cooperation, you guys' understanding, and thank you so much. Thank you all so much for all the great work and collaboration that we all do. Our community partners, our members. Just thank you all so much for making this something that we can get done, and for all your opinions and testimonies and everything. And as of now, I would like to make a motion that we adjourn.
I think you can just go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
Oh, I can just adjourn.
You
I
can.
didn't even realize that. I just want to do everything right. All right, guys. Well, I will see you guys next time. And thank you so much. Remember, reach out to John, reach out to Don. You guys have any questions about anything? If you need to talk to somebody from leadership, reach out to Dawn. She'll get you guys our information. We're totally transparent. We want to work with everybody. We want to keep this SILC moving as smooth as possible. And we want to work with each other so that we can keep doing the good work that we do. Thank you so much. And you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.